Las Vegas, deep in the Nevada desert, lies the top-secret military base called Area 51. This giant complex remained unacknowledged and disavowed by the U.S. government for almost 60 years. But in August 2013, the CIA finally admits this place is real. But how did a top-secret military base become the place to spot aliens? And is it linked to the mystery crafts spotted in U.S. skies?
The U.S. Navy has confirmed that UFOs are indeed real.
After decades of silence, insiders are speaking out to share closely guarded secrets.
We did reverse engineer things out there.
And reveal the true stories of Area 51's UFOs and mystery crafts.
There's been an awful lot of misinformation. If you don't know what's going on, you might like to find out.
When I got off there at Groom Lake, I see a runway, a little tower, a couple hangars, a community center type building. We slept in trailers. Being informed on what you can talk about or not talk about starts right at the very beginning. It's just that way. You don't talk about anything that's classified.
People on the project didn't know everything. You know, the mechanics, for instance, didn't know what we were doing in the air. That's how secret it was.
The recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any agency of the United States.
Through the 1950s, UFO sightings become the convenient cover-up for U-2 flights. But on May 1st, 1960, America's top-secret spying mission is blown when the USSR downs a high-flying U-2.
The CIA knew that Soviet surface-to-air missile technology was going to catch up to the point where it could shoot down a high flyer like the U-2.
But they are just the start of the stories that will become the myth.
After the police left, the mysterious creatures came back and continued to attack the residents of the farmhouse. Since then, there's been different explanations, with so many people saying the creatures were owls. But why would 11 people fail to recognize owls? Number 16. U.S. Navy confirmation. You must know how much the government hates to admit that aliens exist, even with so many occurrences that say they do. But sometime between 2007 and 2017, videos of the U.S. Navy showing unidentified objects flying at high speeds in the Earth's atmosphere were leaked. In the video, the Navy pilots were heard expressing shock and awe while they were looking at the UFOs. The videos were taken during training flights, and the 2017 leaks were published by the New York Times. But even with that, they had something to say. Mundane, skeptical explanations include instrument or software malfunction, anomaly or artifact, and human observational illusion, for example, parallax or interpretive error. Do you even believe that? Number 15. Google Maps UFO. When trying to find out ways, we all have asked Google Maps for help at one time or the other. But when a woman asked Google Maps for directions to visit her aunt in Jacksonville, she got the surprise of her life instead. Right on Google Maps, there's an image of a strange floating object. And the mysterious thing about this is that when the city's residents visited the spot, they didn't see anything. Also, whenever they checked for the location on the map, the image always appeared. No one knows what it is, and even related to an inversion. So were they truly trying to cover up the fact that aliens are real? Number 19.
Azar is someone who became famous back in 1989 as a result of a very specific claim that he made. And that claim is that he worked at a place just south of Area 51. He called it S4. He was interviewed by Las Vegas journalist George Knapp in a series of very detailed interviews.
We put him on the air, blacked out his face, and he told this incredible story.
Exactly what's going on up there?
Well, there's several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs that are out there of extraterrestrial origin.
He said it's a secret that needed to be told to the world, that his life was in danger, and that he was coming forward and wanted to tell it. I could feel my jaw dropping. Is this real? We left there thinking, wow, if this is real, this is a really big story. So we decided, well, let's take the time and get this right.
Over the next 8 months, Knapp conducted a thorough investigation of Lazar's sensational claims. According to Lazar, before he worked at S4, he was a physicist at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, the facility that developed the atomic bomb.
The central question for me was, did he work at Los Alamos? Because if he did, it would at least be plausible that if he worked there in a technical or scientific position, that he could also be hired at a place like S4. So that's where we focused our attention. I started calling Los Alamos at first. Nope, we have no record of a guy named Bob Lazar. I got the phone book from the Los Alamos lab. There's his name in the phone book. I call him back and said, hey, he's in the phone book. They finally, sort of exasperatingly, told me, yeah, we've got a record of him being here. We found Bob Lazar to be credible about his background, his scientific training, where he had worked.
For more than 2 decades, Bob Lazar's critics claimed there was no evidence of any secret military base in the Nevada desert. But then, in 2013, a Freedom of Information Act request forced the CIA to finally acknowledge that Area 51 is real.
The story of Area 51, it exploded around the world. The reason you know about Area 51 is because Bob Lazar and George Knapp on the news 1989 made it a household name. That's the reason. All of that came from Bob Lazar.
To many researchers, the government's acknowledgement of Area 51 established Lazar as more than a UFO pioneer. His inside access made him a whistleblower.
My name's Bob Lazar. I'm known for working at a classified base known as S4 out in the Nevada desert near Area 51. And there, we reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
But could Lazar's sensational claims be true? Former Air Force pilot Captain David Fruhoff worked at Area 51 from 1979 until 1985. And while he was never shown any alien technology, he attests that Bob Lazar's account of the facility is entirely accurate.
When I was there, we knew about S4, but we didn't know what they did. And I know people that had worked for me that after I left there, they had seen Bob Lazar there, and they admitted that to me recently. Bob Lazar's statements and all the things he had said have gelled now to the point where I think he's very credible.
A NASA task force is holding its first meeting on UFOs, public meeting, I should say.
He had a big head and big black eyes and was dressed in a black bodysuit.
Are we alone in the universe? This is probably one of the most asked questions in the world, and it's all because of some past encounters and experiences with creatures that look and act nothing like us. But most times, these stories get ignored for lack of evidence, making us doubt the existence of aliens. Well, it seems we are not alone in the universe after all, as we now have 20 alien and UFO evidence and encounters that can no longer be ignored. Number 20. Washington, D.C. Flap. Let's start with the incident that happened at the powerhouse. The White House, of course. But before we get there, let's take a step backward to where it all started. It was just before midnight on July 19, 1952, at the Washington National Airport, now known as the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, when an air traffic controller spotted 7 unidentified flying objects in the sky southwest of the nation's capital. The traffic controller, named Edward Nugent, wasn't sure if what he saw was not a result of a glitch. He had to ask his colleagues to double-check, and when they told him the equipment was working properly and that the radar could also detect unidentified flying objects, he knew the UFOs were real. Not long after, the controllers could see some bright objects hovering over the White House and the Capitol building. Fighter jets were deployed to the area, but before they arrived, the UFOs had disappeared. It was as if the UFOs could intercept and understand radio traffic, as they immediately came back as soon as the fighter jets left. The mysterious objects kept disappearing and reappearing till they were no longer visible by daybreak. But the following weekend, they reappeared at the same spot. After 2 consecutive weekends of UFO activity over the city, the Air Force held a press conference at the Pentagon to explain the phenomena to the public. Air Force Major General John Samford told the gathered reporters that the air traffic controllers must have seen stars, meteors, and other optical illusions.
As meteorological or electronic phenomena.
As for the radar, the general said it malfunctioned as a result of temperature inversion. That would have been the end of the story, but Captain Edward Ruppelt was not briefed before the press conference. He later publicly debunked the claims of the general by saying what happened in Washington, D.C. was not related to the aerial school phenomenon. It's so easy to label one person a liar when they give an account of their experience when no one else was around. But what do we say about not 1, not 2, but 62 people giving a similar account of an incident at the same time? Back in September 1994, in a tiny community of Ruwa in Zimbabwe, 62 children at a school called Ariel reported seeing flying silver discs land in a nearby field. It happened when the teachers were all inside, probably on break or having a meeting. The kids claimed that mysterious creatures emerged from the discs and spoke to them through their minds like a form of telepathy. The children described the creatures as human-like, with waxy skin and large, penetrating eyes.
He had a big head and big black eyes and was dressed in a black bodysuit.
At first, the adults didn't believe the children's claims, but soon UFO experts took interest in the case and went to the school to question the children about their experience. They all have very similar accounts of what they saw and also provided similar sketches of the discs and the creatures. One would have thought these kids cooked up this story. But when you consider that they lived in a rural environment where they were not privileged to see depictions of aliens on TV or in movies, you just can't ignore this evidence. Number 18. Quebec's phenomenal fiery UFO. This UFO is nothing like the world has seen before. A resident of Quebec named Jay Belhowski filmed this UFO on his phone when he was taking out his garbage. He suddenly noticed a bright object glowing in the sky, and suddenly it started to change its shape. That's not all. The mysterious object looked like it was on fire or emitting some sort of energy. At first, when Jay released the video, many people speculated it was a hoax. But after video experts scrutinized the video and said it was real, it changed everything. Jay can be heard saying, "It's a ship," while his children are gasping and also saying it changed color. When you look at the object from the video, you just can't tell what it was because it's different from what we have seen in movies and TV. There are a lot of questions that will probably not be answered. Number 17. Curious case of Kelly Hopkinsville encounter. This UFO encounter is a scary yet mysterious one, a tale that hasn't been forgotten even after 68 years. It all happened with 2 families, a total of 11 people, coming together to have family time on August 21st, 1955. They were all around their farmhouse in the village of Kelly when one of them stood up to get some water from the well. When he fit back, he told the rest he had just seen something mysterious in the sky. Others didn't believe him, but soon they saw evidence as they received uninvited guests at the farmhouse. The house was attacked by several small, weird-looking humanoids. After a 2-hour gun battle, the 2 families got in their cars and zoomed off to the police department. But when the police got to the house, they were already gone. However,